Afternoon, early evening, everyone.
It's getting dark.
It feels like evening. This is Mark Maydon from Crowd Connected, who's going to talk about your app, Supercharged, how live events are harnessing the power of location data to enhance the consumer experience. Mark, over to you. Cheers.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Earphones at the ready. Thank you very much. My name is Mark. I'm the co-founder and commercial director of Crowd Connected. At Crowd Connected, we map the movement of crowds, typically at large-scale events, just like today's. In fact, our technology has been used here today. We're embedded into the official Event Tech Live app, which has been developed by Gumio. In the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to tell you how you too can supercharge your app. How by harnessing the power of location data, you can turn your app from being a cost center into being a revenue generator. True. How by harnessing the power of location data, you can use your app install base to tackle some of the most common headaches that affect event organizers. Think observing visitor behavior, think footfall engagement, think attendee engagement. I'll tell you how you can do all of this easily and cost effectively, and by name-checking a few examples and a few case studies along the way, I'll show you how events are already benefiting from this location data crowdsourced from their attendees, and demonstrating, I hope, that this is proven technology that really does deliver. So let's make a start. Here's the setup and a shameless plug. We've built an end-to-end platform we've called Co-Locator. It's a location intelligence platform, and by that we mean it takes the rich stream of location data from your app users and turns all of that into something immensely valuable, and critically it does it in real time. So what does Co-Locator deliver exactly? Well, we can summarize in just 3 words: monitor, measure, engage. Monitoring. It enables the movement of app users, event attendees, to be observed live as they interact with the environment through a web-based console. Think of a heat map, think of dashboards. Measurement. We surface detailed visitor behavioral metrics, enabling commercial activations and other facilities to be properly evaluated for the first time. Digitizing the physical, if you like. Think footfall, dwell time, visitor counts. Think repeat visits, that sort of thing. Third, engagement. We enable communications to be truly targeted and therefore personalized based on the location of the recipient. Think mobile messaging, enhanced push notifications to make them more relevant and therefore more valuable. So monitor, measure, engage. 3 words we'll return to shortly. But first, let's quickly delve into how the system works, how we get app-based event tracking. For clarity, we don't build apps. There are plenty of experts here today, expert app developers, that do just that. But let's assume you're commissioning an app for your event. What we provide is a plug-in to your app. We have a small, lightweight code library, what the techies refer to as an SDK, which once integrated into your app, turns your app install base into a connected sensor network. Once activated, we continually gather data about the device location and other devices nearby. We gather these sensor inputs and we map the movement of devices. From the movement of devices, we map the movement of people, attendees at the event, and if required, on their way to the venue and potentially after they leave as well, depending on the use case. Then we use this valuable stream of location data to power a suite of integrated services which we make available via our web console. Our technology works anywhere, outdoors, indoors. We've even successfully configured it for deployment on London Underground. That's because we aren't dependent on a single underlying location technology, like GPS, Wi-Fi, or Bluetooth. We use whatever is available. And because it's app-based, it has a number of advantages. These include it's always on. There are fewer blind spots as a result, so that delivers superior analytics and precise audience segmentation and engagement. It's accurate and frequent, typically down to 5 meters, but normally sub 10 meters is entirely achievable. it's battery efficient. Often when people talk to me about location data gathering, one of the first questions is, well, what will that do to my user's battery? We've done a lot of work on this. Clearly, gathering location data does require some power, and transmitting it to our servers requires power, but our system is very efficient and can gather frequent updates at low latency. And perhaps crucially, and this makes it potentially sets it apart from some other ways of gathering location data, is it's 100% opted in from the user, i.e. during the app install, during the app onboarding process, we expressly get the user's permission to gather location data, which we think is critical. Now, because it's a software rather than a hardware solution, it's easy to deploy, therefore cost effective. For outdoor locations, zero additional infrastructure is required. For indoor locations, pre-existing infrastructure such as Wi-Fi or beacons with no modification is often sufficient. In some indoor environments, a low-cost temporary hardware deployment may be required. Our technology has been licensed over 50 times by events in 2017 alone, from music festivals to conferences to sports events. We've got customers around the world. So what sort of problems do we solve for these people? Let's start back with those three words. Let's start with monitor and illustrate how real-time monitoring of the crowd at an event delivers valuable benefits. So to monitor your audience, you could have CCTV everywhere. You could have a drone in the sky. You could have more staff deployed to cover the entire footprint of your event. But in practice, that's frequently far too expensive to be practical. Real-time digital readouts complement existing practices, enabling event teams to stay updated, react quickly and reliably, even to the unforeseen. Our heat maps and dashboards provide control rooms with a solution. They provide early warning of crowd density, cues, movement, or incidents, even off-site, actionable insight. That enables quick and effective response, whether that is pointing your cameras or deploying staff to the right locations, or communicating with the public in a specific area in a very tightly targeted fashion using in-app messaging. So let's look at some practical examples of how monitoring can enhance the customer experience and contribute to a safer event. Our technology has helped a number of music festivals where sudden bad weather has caused a serious headache. Imagine being able to get vital safety and operational information just to the people in one particular exit route during a severe weather incident. That's what we delivered to Governor's Ball in New York, a major music festival there. The huge queues to get off-site during torrential rain via the RFK bridge had led some festival goers to attempt to walk in the opposite direction back towards the site. This was visible to operations teams via live dashboards and heat maps. They were able to react quickly with highly targeted messaging sent to people in different areas, advising them which route to take. At another festival, event organizers were able to monitor queue times building at the gates, and once a threshold had been reached, open additional lanes for the security checks to speed up entry. Managing ingress and egress is critical to the success of a large-scale event like a music festival. As a festival organizer, where would you rather a festival goer spends their hard-earned money on food and beer, on-site or outside the perimeter of your site? Getting people in is crucial. Elsewhere, events regularly use our technology to keep a watchful eye on transit times, dwell times, and facility usage. For example, real-time data on which areas are busy and what's not enables operations team to move attendees around the site accordingly, thereby enhancing the overall customer experience. So we're not only monitoring, but we're also measuring, and that means detailed visitor behavior metrics, robust, reliable data. So visitors and visits, think how many, how long, how often, and where demographic data is also available, for example from registration or app login, we're able to link up our location data set with that demographic data and even expose who. And all of this for any sub-area of the event. And that's something that event organizers are increasingly screaming for. That's because commercial partners increasingly demand quantitative evidence on how their activations have performed. You need to provide your commercial partners with what they crave, robust, meaningful data, or frankly, you'll lose out on valuable revenue. Surfacing visitor metrics for any area or group of areas is very straightforward with our system. First, you define a place of interest, for example, a sponsor activation, or it could be a bar, or a food and beverage area, or a stage, frankly, any area. Uniquely, this can be done post-event. It doesn't need to be pre-populated or pre-specified. All you just do is draw a polygon, a simple click of the mouse or two. And it can be any shape or size. Those polygons can overlap, and we can have as many or as few as required. And once those regions have been drawn up on our web console, we're ready to surface counts. We provide the metrics in a number of ways to fit in with existing workflows. For example, visualized in the form of interactive charting, which you can see on the screen here, or as tabular data, so think a CSV file of the figures. Our location tracking technology is already widely used to provide this level of quantitative analysis for sponsor reporting. In other words, events are using our tech to enhance their commercial proposition, addressing the fact that sponsors increasingly demand this level of quantitative evidence on how their activations are performed. Events need cost-effective ways of delivering this. They need that sponsorship money and other facilities to be properly evaluated. And here's the thing. Events which leverage their app install base to harvest location data and better service commercial partners are effectively turning their app from being a cost into being a revenue generator. We think that's pretty powerful. And it's an approach which has rapidly gained traction. In 2017, we provided sponsor evaluation at a myriad of different events across the globe, from the US through the UK, Europe and Asia. For well-known brands as well, the likes of Amex and Deloitte, Lipton and Uber, to name just a few. Typically, reporting includes data points such as unique and return and aggregate visits, dwell time profiling, and relative time spent versus other sponsor areas. So we've covered monitoring real-time data. We've covered the measurement, typically post-event, the analysis of footfall traffic, visitor analytics. And what about engage? Here we're talking attendee communications, specifically content to visitors' mobile phones in the form of push notifications, but it could be any kind of content surfaced on a personal device. There's an ever-increasing pressure to message the public at an event, which means a real risk of overload or even spam. Sponsors want and are willing to pay extra to send branded notifications to app users. Operations managers need to send important information to customers. We saw that with some of the weather-related examples I gave earlier. Customer experience teams want to enhance attendees' enjoyment of the event. Marketers want to use the notifications maybe to sell tickets to future events. What's needed is a way to tightly target all of those messages, because otherwise the event attendee is simply going to be faced with a barrage of messaging and switch off. We'd argue that only genuine geo-behavioral targeting of the sort that we do is truly able to personalize all of this messaging, making every notification valuable to the customer. And by geo-behavioral targeting, we mean building segments based not only where someone is now, but where they have visited previously, or even where they've not been. In other words, based on the person's journey through the event, not simply whether or not they've come into contact with a beacon. In effect, we're turning the app into a personalized guide. Here's a simple example. We might broadcast a message for today's event to those people with the ETL app who we haven't yet clocked in this building, but only targeting those individuals in London and who are close enough to the event to still make it. To make this happen, there's no need to cross-reference pre-registration data with visitor counts and app installs. It's much easier than that. We just set up a target segment on our console using some simple filters. We curate the message content, we set a time for the message to go, and we hit schedule. The message will then automatically be sent out, one message per device maximum, to any qualifying app users. Here's another example. We might trigger a message to anyone who enters or exits a specific area at the show, but only between certain times, and only if they've been there more than once. Again, easily done. Our targeting allows any combination of location and time to be used. This type of message curation and targeting is becoming increasingly standard practice at large-scale events, where providing timely, contextual and relevant guidance to attendees is seen increasingly as a must-have rather than a nice-to-have. We first delivered geo-behavioral messaging campaign for Live Nation at Latitude Festival in 2016. Since then, it's become a mainstay of our platform with a wide range of users. Just this year, it has been used to enhance the experience for football fans attending the Champions League final in Cardiff, to drive footfall to sponsor activations at multiple music festivals, and to unlock rewards in a treasure hunt style at one particular large event. And looking ahead to 2018, we have a deployment integrating our location technology with augmented reality experiences, which we're pretty excited about. And there's another thing here, not just about the targeting of the messaging, but also measuring the impact of those messages. Because our location tracking is always on, we can track the reaction to a recommendation message. For example, a prompt to visit a certain facility or an attraction. How many of those people we messaged actually went there? We can answer that question. So let's wrap up, as I've been wittering on for 20 minutes or so. Quite long enough. We've seen how smart event organisers are tapping into their app install base, how apps are being supercharged to understand the attendee journey and to observe how people consume what's on offer, and not just limited to the event site. How events can use that in real time to monitor the movement of the crowd, to enhance the customer experience for a safer event even. And how events can use it to measure footfall, meaning they can deliver what commercial partners want, evaluation of activations. And we've seen how events can use location tracking for enhanced attendee engagement through highly targeted messaging. Your app supercharged, harnessing the power of location intelligence. Thank you very much. I'm very happy if anyone's got any specific questions to take a question. Otherwise, happy to talk to you afterwards as well. So I've got a question here about battery usage. Very happy to address that. We've worked at live events for the last 3 years. The very first deployment of our technology actually dates all the way back to 2015, and we've ramped up ever since then. We've done a huge amount of work on optimizing the location tracking to minimize battery drain. Specifically, we are able to dynamically configure the frequency that we get location updates from phones, depending on the use case and depending on their location. In other words, we can dial it up and we can dial it down. We also have found various techniques for minimizing the use of more battery draining location fixes, such as by using Bluetooth and a technique called cooperative positioning, which looks at all the devices in the area and the Bluetooth signals bouncing between them to optimize our location fix on a device. Again, low energy. And actually, one of the things that is more as big a drain on battery is the transmission of data from the device to our central servers, not just getting a fix. We have a number of techniques there where we batch up updates and we minimize the size of the data packets in order to be as battery efficient as possible. Clearly, any location tracking will take some battery usage, but we believe we are best in class in respect of that. The next question is how to confine app users to allow location services. I think that's how to get the confidence of app users to allow location services. And typically, in our experience, that we find if you're delivering value back to the app user in the form of contextualized notifications, in the form potentially of wayfinding on the app, if you're clear about how they're going to benefit from a safer event, we're going to optimize the event experience and personalize the event experience for you, that actually getting an opt-in to location services is not a big challenge. It really isn't. At some events, we're seeing up to 80% of downloads getting location services switched on. We work very hard with app developers to make sure that we're very clear with the messaging to app users around this point. We contextualize the requesting of permission. So we might not request permission up front when the app is downloaded. We might only ask for permission after a notification has been received or close to the event itself. So a number of techniques that we use, but we're very, very, very pleased with the level of opt-ins that we get around location services. Any other questions? In which case, thank you very much, everybody.